Oh, the coffee is amazing. Are you serious? Are you serious? Well, Ambassador Nikki Haley of the United States, the ambassador for the United Nations, says that the United Nations Human Rights Council must stop wrongfully singling out Israel, or the United States is just going to quit this portion of the UN. They're just going to shut it down. And that means stop funding it. Thank God. I finally hear somebody say it. We'll just stop. We'll just quit. A U.S. envoy to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, wrote on Friday, she wrote in the Washington Post, an op-ed piece. It said the United Nations Human Rights Council is singling out Israel for relentless condemnations, while truly heinous regimes such as Venezuela and Cuba go scot-free because they are members of the council. And when the council passes more than 70 resolutions against Israel, well, this is insanity, a country with strong human rights record, and just 7 resolutions against Iran, a country with an abysmal human rights record, you know something is seriously wrong, she wrote. In fact, Nikki Haley reminded her readers in 2014 that Russia invaded Ukraine, took over Crimea. This illegal occupation resulted in thousands of civilian deaths and injuries, as well as arbitrary detentions. No special meeting of the Human Rights Council was ever called, and the abuses continue to mount. Haley will visit Israel later this week for the first time as the United Nations ambassador, and it's believed that she will help celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Six-Day War. But on her way over, she will stop in Geneva, Switzerland, to address the United Nations Human Rights Council. It is a crucial visit for the vehemently anti-Israeli world body because President Trump has threatened to leave it. And that means stop funding it. In fact, Haley has stated that she plans to make her recommendations to the president on staying in or quitting the United Nations Human Rights Council based on the discussion she has when she gets to Geneva. Matter of fact, incidentally, Haley's successor, President Obama's appointee, Samantha Power, was similarly critical of the way that the United Nations Human Rights Council treated Israel, and she doesn't even like Israel. So Haley detailed her plans for the next week Geneva visit. She said, I will outline changes that must be made. Among other things, membership of the council must be determined through competitive voting to keep the human rights abusers from obtaining the seats on the Human Rights Council. She envisions changes in the method of picking new members. And as it stands, regional blocs nominate candidates that are uncontested. Competition would force a candidate's human rights record to be considered before votes were ever cast. So in other words, if you're abusing your people like Venezuela is, or Cuba, or some of these other nations, you can't be sitting on a human rights council when you are abusing your own people. I'll tell you, I like the fact that threatening to pull out. Get out of it! I would take a bulldozer and literally bulldoze the United Nations building if I could. Or turn it over to a low-rent apartment complex for the homeless. Something positive. But what we got over there in the United Nations is nothing more than a den of thieves, haters of righteousness, and will not stand up for Christianity, the slaughter of the innocent, or the nation of Israel. Give your life to Jesus Christ because it's getting uglier by the minute. God bless Nikki Haley for standing up for the truth. Are you saved?